Started. Hey guys, I am Dr. Yolanda Olover. I am the new Director of Civic Engagement for Focus, and I lead this emerging leaders program. We're super excited that you guys are here. We're going to provide you with a program overview for what we will do today. So first we'll do our program overview. We have two of our alumni panelists that will give you their take on in their experience on how they navigated this program, and then we'll take questions for you. And so before we get started, I do want to introduce folks. Kate has gone off camera. We have Becky off camera, but Kate is our program coordinator, and she supports a lot of what we do here at Focus. And provides a lot of support for not only this program, but for our other executive and youth leadership programs and women's programs. And then we have our director of marketing, which is Becky, and she's also off camera, but she does all of our amazing marketing. She probably contacted you through this email. She got you registered, so thank you for her support. And before we go through the history, Dr. Yemi Akande Barch, sorry, Yemi, is going to run us through this. I'm fairly new, so she's going to give us the whole spiel on Focus and how we came to be. But let me introduce you to her first. I'm pretty sure you guys probably know who she is. She's a very prominent leader in the community. She's our president and CEO since 2014, and she has a wide variety of experience, not only in education and communication, but her nonprofit leadership has been very profound here in the St. Louis community. She's won multiple awards for her dynamic leadership and her civic involvement, and it's truly an honor to work under her and her leadership and have her lead these kind of executive training programs. So Yemi, can you just take us into where we've been, who we are, and then we'll go into what this program specifically is about.
Right. Thank you, Yoli. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Kate. It is good to see new friends and possible program participants. Now that I've officially sort of met you virtually, I feel like I'm going to be seeing a lot of you in community because the Focus space, we get around, we like to say. But for those of you that aren't familiar with Focus, we have a collective history of 50 plus years. At one point, we were two separate nonprofits. But since then, we have come together, Confluence St. Louis and Leadership St. Louis, and have added a number of programs. So we have 5 different leadership programs, and one that you're interested in today is our Emerging Leaders Program, which is our most oversubscribed program. The folks that go through this program, I'm always excited to see how you learn in the program, what you do after the program. I had an opportunity to sit through an afternoon with the current class of emerging leaders not too long ago. I was inspired. The class was working on community civic action projects. They were talking about not just the present, but they were talking about the future in terms of how they will continue to be engaged. So I am looking forward to getting to know you either in our program or outside of our program. And please make sure you connect with the team on LinkedIn. I was going to say people can connect through the digi cards, but we're not in person, but we'll get to that. Please connect with Yoli, please connect with Becky, because from time to time, we all share information about what's going on in community. Every year, we graduate close to 300 folks, and there is never a dull moment. So I am just giving you a quick overview of the Focus programs, 11,000 plus alums. We are everywhere. I just came from a coffee meeting where there were 2 of our alums also having coffee there. How cool is that? So powerful network with access from grassroots to brass tops. They're doing great work in the community. So Yoli, does that cover a quick orientation information on general Focus programs?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jamie. And exactly what Jamie said about the footprint being everywhere, and 6 degrees of separation here in St. Louis. You always see somebody, folks you meet at the coffee shop, at a game, or in a restaurant. So this program, I think, has tremendous value for the all of you I see here putting your information in the various industries that you're in, to diversify not only your networking but your thought, right? And so how we're approaching things in the community, and how we can really grow our experience here in St. Louis. So this program specifically caters to folks like yourself, right? Young people who are emerging in their career, who are mid-level professionals, are working their way up the professional chart. And some of you are entrepreneurs. Some of you already work in the nonprofit industry, or you're government employees. I see a lot of people that are from the healthcare industry. And so again, it cultivates a diversified way of approaching not only your leadership, but the way we look at the St. Louis community. The time commitment is a 3-month, 1-day open retreat, 5 seminars, and civic action project presentations. And I'll tell you guys about that a little bit later. Again, I'm new, but I have seen some amazing efforts on what we're doing here at Focus. So your participation, you'll experience, again, that networking, cultivating, growing you as a leader, a deeper connection to your core values, gaining valuable tools to step into your leadership roles that you're currently in, or even roles throughout, our St. Louis region, or where you see yourself fit, even growing as an entrepreneur. It's designed to offer an immersive training. So you're really intimately involved with what we do. It's hands-on, it's interactive. You get to be close with your cohort, and you gain a lot of new friendships, and a lot of people that you probably will meet later on in your career trajectory. So it's a great way of learning and preparing you for a hands-on leadership role in your field. You see the dates that are listed up there. I do want to talk a little bit before we get into the dates, but who's a good fit? So we're looking for folks like yourself, early to mid-level professionals that have a deep love for our community and our region. I'm a native of St. Louis. I've been in and out of St. Louis. I'm back happily. But we know that there are a lot of challenges that we face, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth. So we want to seek individuals who are growing to aspire to challenge these issues that we have in the community, and give really good input on how we can grow as a region. So do you love collaborating with others and tackling issues? I love the word cognitive diversity. When you come in, I'm already going to claim you. So when you come into our next cohort, next term, we'll talk a lot about that, and the importance of that when you're talking about growing and moving your organizations, your leadership role, your personal and professional navigation through your journey, and the critical way of looking at things in a different way. So I said I was going to tell you real quickly about the CAP programs. So we have, for example, one of my, I won't say it's my favorite, but it's my favorite because the digital divide is really challenging for our educational system to navigate through your career. We have the city of St. Louis, who has sponsored a CAP project with our cohort currently. And what they're trying to do is navigate different ways of looking at how can we close that gap? So what are some practical, actionable ways that we can close this gap for the digital divide, not only for our educational system, but for our residents here in St. Louis. Another forum, so we do also civic forums. One of my faves was one on the intersection between social psychology and the way we dress, and how it impacts our the way that we lead. So we dove into this topic. We got practical tips, and we had high level professionals to give us that information. So those are the two things that I've loved since I've been here. I'm absolutely, as Yami said, fascinated by the brilliant minds that I get to work with in this program, and we're hoping that you will also be a part of that. So let me pause. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions? Any of my colleagues want to fill in anything? If not, we will go right to our alum. Nothing?
They're on track.
All right. All righty. So we have two wonderful emerging leaders, past emerging leaders, current alumni that have been distinguished not only in the program, but in their career fields. Please join me in welcoming Bree Tabernick from Edward Jones and Nikki Edwards, and she's from the Behavioral Health Response. And I'm going to talk to them about how they navigated this program and the impact that it's made in their career. So, Nikki, are you on?
I am. I'm here.
Hi. Hi.
Hello.
All right. Give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself, and tell our future emerging leaders why you joined this program.
Well, thank you, Ali, for having us. Also, Yemi and Kate and Becky, I've always enjoyed working with you all. So thank you for having me today. So my route to emerging leaders is kind of interesting. I call myself a business social worker, in the fact that I have a business degree, an undergrad degree in marketing, and then I also have a double master's in family and consumer science and social work. So I've kind of done a lot of the things. My career, I've worked with individuals with intellectual disabilities, and have worked in adult mental health and substance use for several years now, and now transferring into operations. I live in Illinois currently, but I am a product of St. Louis City. So my leadership, our current president and CEO, Tiffany Lacey Clark, has been through a couple of Focuses programs, including the Women in Leadership and then Focuses Leadership program. So that's how I originally got introduced. It was recommended by her and our previous CEO and president, Pat Coleman. But then as I started to do my own research into Focus STL, I was just drawn by the work that's been done, the civic action projects that have been that we did last cohort, and just being able to put back in a way that helps the area that I'm from, being able to give back in that space. I wasn't really prepared for what I got from the program, just because the conversations and the relationships that I formed in that cohort, I couldn't have imagined it going in. So.
Okay, great. I love for you to talk a little bit more about what you gained from our program, and then also what advice do you have to our new emerging leaders spring class of 2024?
Wonderful. So I was a part of the spring 2023 cohort along with Bria. So it was good to see Bria today. So what I gained from the cohort, like I said, I wasn't expecting to gain what I gained from the cohort, because you sign up for leadership groups and leadership programs, and you go into it. I went into it with the mindset of, oh, this is another way for me to boost my resume, or get some more knowledge to hone my skills as a leader. However, what I gained from it was community. In the fact that our cohort, we had a blast together. And we had individuals from all different walks of life and careers. So being exposed to the community side of our cohort was probably that was the thing that, you know, I really took away and still benefit from to this day. Also getting to give back to the community in a way that I didn't think I ever could. So my group's civic project, we worked with Thomas Dunn Learning Center and created a civic station there. So being able to create something tangible with individuals that you've just met, and just the networking and the relationship building that came from that, and just the good feeling of being able to put back into the community that I come from, was immeasurable for me. As it relates to what advice I have, be ready to dedicate time, because again, we're all busy. And I think one common thing across our cohort was that we all came in thinking, oh, you know, we got this, like, we're busy already, you know, this will be a breeze. But what we realized, it is a real true dedication of time. And just be ready for what you're going to get from it. I don't think you could ever prepare for what you're going to get from Focus STL, and then those conversations, and being able to have conversations that I typically can't have in the workplace for various reasons, and being able to have those deep conversations about what our community is dealing with currently and how we can help bridge that gap or fix those things was very, very, very helpful, as well as getting insight into the community. So learning more about the St. Louis community was extremely helpful. So I would say be ready for the time commitment, because it is a time commitment outside of just those seminar days. So that would be it for me, I think.
Perfect, Nikki. So I love the way that you said there was just an authentic way of learning. So it was that, you know, experiential learning, and you did some hands-on projects and you got to meet folks, but the authentic experience of Focus, in my experience, what I've seen in the last couple of months is something that we hope for you guys to take away from this program. You had anything else you want to add, Nikki?
No, I would just say looking forward to seeing you all in the next cohort. Go spring cohorts. So I'm a little biased to the spring cohorts. But yeah, I would just say if you're just apply. It's well worth it. It really is, personally and professionally.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nikki, do you want to share how the timing was right and maybe how you're engaged presently?
Yes. So following spring cohort, I am now serving as an advisor for Focus's Youth Leadership St. Louis cohort, that is currently happening in the fall cohort, and it is a blast. So I am in a space with youth who are now on the path to becoming emerging leaders soon, getting to work with the youth on their civic projects, and starting that. So Focus is one of those things that surprisingly has become a part of my world, and I'm excited that it has been. So yes, the timing was perfectly right, and it can catapult you to an involvement in the community that you may not have originally thought you could have. So thank you, Kate.
Yeah, thank you. And the timing was right, and right for us too, right? So now you're paying it forward to another facet of our organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, Bria. Can you introduce yourself as well? And first just start out and tell us where you are in your career, what you do currently, and then what drew you to this program.
Absolutely. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see so many different people from so many different organizations in St. Louis. I saw some Edward Jones there as well, so go Edward Jones. Again, my name is Bria Tabernick, and I'm a product leader at Edward Jones. I lead our charitable giving area. So that's 529 savings plans, if you've ever heard of those. I'm saving for college or apprenticeships or even K through 12 education, but also other ways to give charitably if you're so charitably inclined. My path to get here was a little interesting. I am one of the leaders of what's called our Women's Business Resource Group here at Edward Jones, and there was an event coming up called What's Right in the Region that was sponsored by Focus St. Louis, and they had some tickets, and they asked if myself and a couple other individuals wanted to go. And we said, yeah, sounds great. It was at a cool location at the Sheldon. There was lots going on. So we decided to go and have some food. And we didn't know what we were in for, though. But we went, and this was an award ceremony, if you're not familiar with it, for individuals who are doing amazing things in the St. Louis area. From building homes to helping people with education to helping people going through really hard times in their life, whether it's poverty or emotionally. We walked away blown away. It was one of those moments in my life where I instantly felt like I needed to be a part of this. I just didn't know how. So did a little research around Focus St. Louis. Saw two real opportunities that stood out to me. One was the Women in Leadership program, and then the other was the Emerging Leaders. Women in Leadership, I'm very lucky to have a lot of that in my current day, my work, what we sponsor here. So really kind of leaned into the Emerging Leaders. And I was on the mid-level portion of this, whereas, as Nikki alluded to, there's people from all different walks of life, all different points in their careers, and that was one of the coolest things about it. I'll touch on that when I talk about my takeaways in just a second. So joined the Emerging Leaders Spring cohort along with Nikki, and it was phenomenal. I was lucky enough to work on a civic action program to support an organization called Launch Code. Didn't even know that the organization I worked with was partnering with this wonderful organization. Launch Code was an organization that focused on upskilling individuals interested in going into the tech world, but didn't have that formal degree. And we were hiring these individuals in leaps and bounds, and they were wonderful. They even had a network inside of the organization I worked for. Wow. And just by this, partnership, I was able to meet these people, help some of those people, recruit one of them over to work in the area that I work in. And this never would have happened if I wouldn't have went to this, random Tuesday night dinner of an organization I had briefly heard of.
Wow. That is an amazing experience. Like it seems like it's something that came straight from a storybook. So thanks for sharing that. What are some things that you gained? Now, I know, from that conversation, I know you gained amazing coworker, a new one, and probably a lot of new connections, but what are some other things that you gained that may not be so evident?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I would say the network obviously was huge, but I walked away with my eyes much more open to the issues going on around us. Similar to Nikki, I grew up in Illinois. I've been on the Missouri side of the river since I graduated college 18 years ago. I'm going to date myself there. But you get in a bubble sometimes. You go to work, you do things with your church or your kids' school or your friends, and you don't always realize that there is, as an example, a food desert 20 minutes down the road from you, or different ways that you can donate back to folks that are experiencing various life challenges in another direction. And finding out about a lot of these organizations was really big. And also getting to go into them. That's a big part of Focus. You have these seminars, but they're at different locations where you get to go in and you meet the individuals that work there and support it, and you hear their challenges. And they're raw when they talk. I mean, they're real when they're telling you what they're facing every day and what they really need. And you hear different ways that you can give back and how you can really be purposeful in your community. The other side of that is the candid conversation and psychological safety that very quickly was formed with the group, and the ability to have those different opinions when you're talking about really controversial issues. So Nikki alluded to that, but we talked about things like police brutality, about race, about so many different things that you don't talk about at work. You don't talk about sometimes with your close friends, but in this group of diverse individuals, we could talk openly and really lean into those conversations and agree to disagree, but also really open our eyes and learn from those. So I really look at a lot of situations so much differently. walking away from there, I mean, things you see on the news and having a little bit more of that background and really hearing from folks that have experienced so many different experiences that I haven't.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And I know, like Nikki said too, we have our check the boxes of ways that we want to enhance our careers and our footprint. But those stories that you both told, really that's what we cultivate here, and that's what's going to carry you out throughout your career and throughout your life. Nikki, did you want to say something?
Yes, if I could share an experience that I had, I remember speaking to Bria and the conversation we had around just what's going on in the region. So we had a conversation and it was around safety and security. So we use like an anonymous way to put things up. And one of the questions I still remember just the conversation I had with someone I did not know sitting next to me. And it was if you could choose security or if you could choose financial stability, which would you choose?
Wow.
And so we, myself and another participant, we were just sitting there and she was like, I know it's anonymous, but what do you think? And I was like, I'll take security. And she was like, really? And I was like, yes, I'll take security. And so what it did was started a really, really, and then people started coming into the conversation because what it gave was insight. I was like, as a Black woman, it's hard for me to have security, right? So there's a certain level of security that I don't own every day. And just even her saying, like, you know what, I've never experienced that and I was never able to understand it from that perspective. I get it now. And
Right.
those are the conversations that this group, this opportunity offers, is to be able to have those conversations in a safe place, which draws people together. And after that, we've drawn together. Me and this person have done work outside of finishing Focus. Our organizations have done work and have done events and things like that. So it's really an opportunity to be able to connect with people on a deeper level than you ever could think of.
Absolutely. And I know authenticity is such a buzzword right now, but that's one of the benefits I see from this kind of training and closeness with the professionals in your field. So that's a phenomenal example. Thank you so much. And we're going to end with you, Bria. Can you just give some advice or any prospective thoughts about what the students may have moving forward?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, students. I am a former teacher. I have full disclosure. I truly apologize, leaders of St. Louis, but it is something I default to. So I truly apologize. But can you give us some advice for our future emerging leaders?
Yeah, I will take Nikki's comments a step further and say, think about the end of this when you graduate. It is a big commitment. We all have so much to do. I have a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old. So by extension of that, I'm a part-time Uber driver. I work full time. And I did this for me because it was interesting to me. And I knew if I did it now, if I didn't do it now, I may never do it. So put yourself in, put the time in, be honest with your group around the flexibility that you need. My group, for as an example, we met at 7:30 at night sometimes after some of us that had kiddos, we could get them to bed, but you can make it work and you can be flexible to get that ultimate prize of graduating this and having those greater insights. And I would say reach out if you have more questions, if you're still unsure on anything. I'm happy to share my email. I know Nikki would too. Find us on LinkedIn. But I don't think you would ever regret doing this opportunity. We've all walked away with nothing but benefit and added purpose just taking part in this over the last few months.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing both your stories. Nikki did have a prior engagement that she had, but again, please reach out to our alumni if you have any thoughts, questions. And now we're going to open up the floor to you, our new cohort of spring 24. We already claiming. Can someone just tell us, like, why are you interested in this program? What do you aim to gain? What are your thinkings coming into the program? Any questions about the commitment, time commitment? And Kate, if you could help me, please navigate anybody who's raising their hand, I would really appreciate that. You can also type your questions in the chat.
I'm also going to be including Yoli's email address if you have follow-up questions in the chat, and then the calendar and application coming up as well. But I'll be logging all your questions.
So no questions for today. Alrighty.
So what is the weekly time commitment was the question. I think our slide includes times, but I'll also drop the full calendar link into the chat as well for reference later.
Right. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kate. So it's 5 seminar days, and then we have a program kickoff. So some of the days vary from a full day to a half day, and a half day meaning 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Our civic action project presentations and the work that goes into that, I would encourage you to reach out to Bria, or Nikki, or even myself, to have a more intimate conversation, a personal conversation on commitment there. But it's well worth the commitment that you put into it, the time that you put into it. I don't know if any of my colleagues want to comment a little bit further on that, Yami or Kate.
I believe you've covered it. You know, you get what you put into a program. So some of the days we bring in panelists to give you kind of a best next practice insights on a whole host of topics that range from leadership to DEIB to branding, or just learning about the important and critical issues in our community. So it's quite a range.
Okay. Thanks.
That kind of connects to another question that someone asked. Basically a comparison, what's the difference between women in leadership and emerging leaders? I don't work as much with emerging leaders, but I work a lot with women in leadership. It's definitely kind of what you want to get out of the experience. So because there is that project and that connecting to community organizations in a very hands-on, experiential, kind of cutting your teeth on new experiences with nonprofits, that's more of the focus in emerging leaders. Women in leadership, they as a women cohort, they come to each other in a little different way, but they touch on similar topics that Yami was describing. Yami, do you want to add any?
I would also add to that they focus on gender-specific workforce issues.
Yes.
During the program. You learn about St. Louis because it's an immersive experience. So some of the seminars don't just take place in our office, they take place in community. I would say this program is certainly for a mid-level manager, solo entrepreneur, or women community leaders who demonstrates a desire to develop their own personal leadership competency. So it is never a dull moment in the program, because you build a community, you build a network, you also connect with amazing leaders in our community that are doing the work. You hear about what their opportunities are, what their challenges are in their day-to-day life, both personal and also professional. Does that help?
And another person in the chat actually mentioned kind of an internal promotion, thank you very much, that Women in Leadership is having a information session next week as well. So yeah, more information to be shared, and Becky and I are great contacts for those. 2 questions have come up, very similar: financial obligation and buy-in from an institution. So here are some of the details regarding that. Yoli, Yami, do you want to expand?
So the tuition you have right there. I should let you know that starting our fall 2024 class, the tuition is going to be a little bit higher. So that information will be on our website if it isn't on there already. Once you've been accepted to the program, that's when you can apply for a scholarship. And we offer a number of different scholarships from the organizations, institutions listed on there. So if you know that that's going to be your need, you have to be accepted into the program first before you can apply for it. And the scholarships are those individuals that have demonstrated financial need.
Another question is around CAP projects. Do you get assigned? Do you know who those partners will be for the spring cohort? Yoli, can you speak to that?
Sure. So we're still securing our partners for the CAP projects for the spring 2024. And since my background, I just told you, was in education, research and such, we designed an algorithm so that two reasons, right? You always want to really kind of jump on something that you have experience in typically, or that you have a lot of talent and skills and gifts in. But a part of this programming is to get you, again, with that diversification of thinking and thought, to get you to look at problems differently and help other organizations see things from a different angle with your knowledge and skills. So we design an algorithm that deals with your demographics, where you work, your level of experience, and we just kind of put that together. So it is very randomized, but I assure you, it's still a very cool and rewarding experience. So for example, we have people in IT in our current cohort. We really tried to randomize the digital divide that I was just telling you about to give that agency, which is the city of St. Louis, give that agency a different way of thinking about their problem and not just from an IT perspective. So does that make sense?
I think so. Also to financial commitment and endorsement, someone also shouted out to a current cohort member that nominated them. You don't have to necessarily have a formal nomination from your institution or organization, but we would strongly encourage having their buy-in and commitment, since that's a number of work days. But if you need this presentation or something else to augment or pitch or encourage, you'd be surprised how integrated Focus is into the organizations. So ask. We've got a lot of alumni, a lot of different places. You just might not know. So getting buy-in is helpful. And then just asking for that support. They might not be familiar with emerging leaders, but they might be familiar with Leadership St. Louis. So reach out to people in your institution, ask questions, ask us. Happy to support and encourage. I think there was another question.
And Teresa, I see that it's your shout out from Shelby. Shelby
Yes.
is amazing. She's incredible leader. So
someone asked about the size of the cohort.
That's it.
Okay. So I'm fairly new, but you correct me, Kate. It's typically about 30 leaders to 35. So we want to keep it large enough to, again, give diversification, but also intimate enough for you to have and really gain that personal experience. So have we gone above 35? I don't think so.
It's been closer to about 27 as an average. But 30 is a really good number for the cohort. Yeah.
Yeah. One new message. Yes, she is. Yeah.
And as far as when things are due, timelines, this is helpful. But again, all of this information, along with the schedule, will be coming out later in Becky's correspondence. Yoli, do you want to add anything?
No, the dates are pretty transparent, relative. But I do want to reach out to anybody on this team. Our open informational email that's online. The folks that were on the call are two alumni, Bree and Nikki, that we can give you their contact information. And then my information is listed there. If you have any questions or comments, stuff, you want to just have coffee and say, hey, Yoli, what have you you know, what can you tell me about this program thus far, being through a new lens? I'm willing to do that as well.
There's another question about recommendation on application process, suggestions, recommendations to better ensure acceptance.
Kate or Amy, you guys can
So
speak.
I would add to that, make sure that the person that you asked for a recommendation.
They don't need a
They
recommendation.
don't need a
Oh, they
recommendation.
don't need, oh, okay, yes, I was getting this, okay, yeah, so.
The
question
biggest
answered.
thing I would say is just, the application is very straightforward. Just make sure that you say, take some time and fill it out completely. Because it does, and it's also to gauge your interest and whether you're a good match for the program. So it does ask some short essay questions. Just take some time to do those. They don't need to be super long, but they do need to have some thought put into them. That's usually where people, if they try to hurry through it too quickly, they sometimes skip over things.
I also find that people who answer really well, it's kind of one of those, write something and then come back to it. See what you might have missed or what you might want to augment. But that's a good rule of thumb for writing in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm all set with my spiel and welcome you all into the new cohort spring 2024. Look forward to seeing you all. And again, if there's anything I could do to support you, help you, answer any questions, please feel free. And you can connect to me on LinkedIn as well. Yami, I'll have you take us on.
Well, thank you for coming. Yes, connect with all of us. Look for events that we have coming up. We actually have one coming up November 1st. If you're interested in the child care crisis, it's a way for you to educate yourself on what's going on in the region and also start to meet focus friends and alums. But look forward to your application. Have a fantastic rest of the week. And we look forward to seeing you in community.